Vegas Scoreboard Express, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 6 on AM 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at KSHP.com.
You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network.
More fire, more heat. This is Lee.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball. Vegas scoreboarding.
Good morning, Las Vegas. All of my sports bettors around the world. That's right, I'm giving the grease this morning, waking you up with a little bit of bread and circus. You're rocking with the ball to the big board. JP, the ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. Live here at the KSHP studios in Las Vegas. VSX Digital Sports Networks, thank you for tuning in this morning. AM 1400, 107.1 FM. We're on all the dials, KSHP.com, VegasScoreboardExpress.com. All of you sports advertisers who want to get into the radio business, get your business out there, go to VSX Digital Sports Network.com. So without further ado this morning, I'm going to be bringing him on early because we're going to be breaking down the Bread Circus. That is the ESPN firings. Man, they got rid of everybody. Here to talk with me about it this morning, my main man, Ron, third down, best bets. VSX Digital Sports contributor. You guys can follow him over on Instagram at RaiderHawkRun. Good morning, Ron. And then once we introduce you, give a few shout-outs, we'll take this short commercial break and get back into that conversation. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm so glad that you're back here with us again. KSHP AM 1400, Vegas Scoreboard Express. Doing it a little bit different today. We're in the lull of the sports betting season. Only in the summer does this happen. Tomorrow, we're going to be bringing you the bets with my main man, Scotty Beam 'em Up Webb from the East Coast Sports Investors and MLBDaily.com. That's going to help you get where you want to be for the baseball bets. But today, we're going to be talking about it. All of the firings over at ESPN, the change in sports commentary, sports talk, in sports entertainment in general is changing. Me and Ron are going to be able to break it down for you when we get back from this short commercial break. So again, you guys stay tuned. Keep it locked here. Follow us on the website at VegasScoreboardExpress.com. That's right. Go to our website now. Exclusively VegasScoreboardExpress.com is where you want to go. We got the daily deals, and that's where you'll be able to get all of our daily updates. So when we get back, we're going to jump into it. You guys keep it locked and stay tuned. Let's get some money.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball. JP the Ticket. Vegas Scoreboard Express. Giving you that grease.
This football season, stay in the game with Fubo TV. Over 100 live channels, including NFL Network, NBA TV, and FS1. Don't miss any of the action. Get 7 days free on us at VegasScoreboardExpress.com. Don't get cabled. Get Fubo TV.
Keep it locked with your boy on the ones and twos. Going in on the wheels of steel.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball. That's the truth.
This is it. The cocaine and the crack.
They all sound the same to me.
There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from.
That's how I'm living.
That's how we do it. That's just the way it is. That's the reason why I came to you.
Drink and women and money.
Back at you live this morning, KSHP AM 1400. I'm the boss of the big board, JP the Ticket, waking you up early every Saturday and Sunday. You guys are going to want to tune in 107.1 FM, AM 1400, right here in Las Vegas on your one and only sports betting source, KSHP, the VSX Digital Sports Network. Got my main man, Ron, third down, best bets, co-host and digital contributor, VSX West in LA. Shaking it off this morning, Ron. Good morning back Here with you, being brought to you by Fubo TV. Go over to FuboTV.com/JB. I'm giving you guys 15% off on your sports. And it looks like you guys are going to have to start doing that because ESPN chopped all of the talent off of the roster. Big names, people that you grew up with, no longer going to be on the air. They have changed their radio formatting as well. It's costing people. But don't get me wrong. These people picked up $4 or $5 million a year for the last 10, 20 years talking about sports in its old incarnation. But now sports have changed. And the way you talk about sports has got to change. And just the way sports are being delivered to everyone is changing. And now those changes in sports media have hit ESPN. So let's talk about it a little bit on VSXDN, right here, Vegas Digital Sports Network. JB the Ticket, VSX Digital Sports Network, giving you guys this exclusive breakdown, our thoughts on it with some news reference. So again, yesterday, ESPN letting go about 20 on-air personalities as part of cutbacks. Reading this one on the Philadelphia Inquirer. Shout out to my main man, Linwood Hard Rock Hamilton. You guys check out him on my website, VegasScoreboardExpress.com, and get involved with helping his documentary get put together. Be sure to donate to his GoFundMe for that. So like I said before, over 20 of the top talent folks gone. Susie Colbert, Todd McShay, the Monday Night Football crew. You had Steve Young. I mean, these guys are letting go a ton of people. A ton of people. And now we're talking about it here on this show. Ron, we talked about this over the last 2, 3, 4 years, just banter. And now I'm going to let the listeners here in Vegas and around the world in on some of this banter. We knew this was coming. We knew this was happening. We saw it at Fox. They finally got rid of that awful Skip and Shannon show. Finally. The show was awful. You wake up in the morning, Skip, 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 and then the other guys, Shannon, I mean, just nonsense. Stephen A. Smith, he's supposed to be the sacred cow over at ESPN, but they know that his time is coming as well. So talk to me as a sports commentator, but also step into the shoes of a fan, if you will, about the issues that you have with sports talk, sports commentary, sports radio in general, because what I'm about to break down for the listeners out here is going to help explain some of that and then give some enlightenment. Go ahead, Ron.
Everything has changed ridiculously. It's not a gradual change. It's been a huge change. It's been coming for a while. We've talked about it. And we're trying to stay ahead of it here and try to get the world caught up with us here. Sports are different. Okay, I'm going to use a club basketball analogy just to start it off here. One big problem is that with club basketball players, these kids are not allowed to build camaraderie. They're not allowed to go over to Timmy's house. Let's get together. Let's go have a pool party. Let's play pizza. I shouldn't say they're not allowed. It's just their geography doesn't allow it a lot, because you have parents transporting these kids in for these games and then taking them right back home usually,
right,
or back to different cities.
Right.
And I think that right there is a basic analogy of the start of the core of sport. That started it. Mm-hmm. That was the start. And then it caught to the broadcasters, and it's just steadily going now. And I don't want to interrupt what you're going to do because I know you're going to bring some major grease right now, and I'm excited to hear it myself too because I agree with everything. I'm with you 100%, and things are changing, and it's a different environment today, and people really need to adjust.
That's right. Let me break it down for you. We talked about this in the pregame. I'm going to let all of you folks out in listener land know now. Sports, the product, across the leagues, it's bad, okay? It's over. The product has been bad. It has been going bad like spoiled milk for the last decade. We'll start off with the NBA. The change in play, the three-point shooting, the lack of defense, the rule changes. Now we'll touch on the NFL, the lack of the running back position, no run game to speak of, no big tackles, you can't hit anymore. Rule changes. Can't celebrate anymore. No more touchdown celebrations for crying out loud. Major League Baseball, more rule changes. Now you got a pitch clock, got a hitting clock. All of these changes have taken place in these three major sports we're not even going to get into the college basketball situation. Ron touched on that with what you were saying, with the kids changing. And yes, you guys are hearing a lot of that because that is the sports world crumbling down around you because the powers that be have held on to a 100-year plan. So let me get into it. First and foremost, I just said the sports product is bad. For the last 30 years, every single sports show has been built on sports highlights. Okay? Sports highlights in the NBA and college basketball, fantastic dunks, three-pointers at the right time, even some cool passing. Those are the things you saw. In football, running back, you'd never see another Barry Sanders again. Barry Sanders would be a fifth wide receiver today, and that's just a terrible situation for a lot of coaches because they don't have the ability to put players in position. You got a lot of players now, especially in football, coming out of the college and the high school ranks with just the grade of athlete. Just athlete. Positionless player. He can play the game, but we'll stick him somewhere. So you don't get those highlights. You don't get the Jerry Rices, the Steve Young to Jerry Rice. And again, Steve Young was just fired from ESPN. You don't get that. Aaron Rodgers, the biggest point of his last offseason was where he was going to be traded. But Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams is a long way off from Joe Montana, Jerry Rice. Long way off. You look at Tom Brady, he doesn't have a specific receiver that he built with over his career. He just used the rotation of guys who were in and out of New England, and then when he went down to Tampa Bay. Okay? Where's the highlight in that? Where's the highlight in that? Tom Brady threw to no-name guys for 20 years. Some superstars passed through, but again, that's the thing. They were passing through. Major League Baseball, after the mid-'90s lockout and all that issue, they came back with steroid guys. And I know the guys at Major League Baseball knew it. That former commissioner had to know, but they needed to bring fans back. So how did they do it? 500 home runs a season across the board. Okay? But what they failed to realize was the fans knew something was a little inauthentic about that from the way sports had been developed as a culture here in America. Let's talk about another part of that. When you talk about sports as water cooler talk or something that is in the daily lexicon, it can't be in the daily lexicon anymore because it all changed. It went off regular TV. Sports are no longer primetime television. It's all reality shows and scripted dramas. All of it. And when you do have sports on TV, they only save network broadcasts for major championships. But if you haven't seen any regular season games, if there aren't any stars to follow through the season, then you just say, here's ESPN on ABC, here's the NBA Finals. Who's going to watch that? Okay? Same deal with the Super Bowl. Okay? The Super Bowl in football over the last 20 years have had problems with blackouts, local markets not carrying games. So they went to the national sports format. They started their own network, NFL Red Zone. You guys can get all of these games on those networks over at Fubo TV. And I'm telling you right now, you folks out there hear me say this every week and you're not signing up, you're going to rue the day that you didn't, because when that deal goes away for that 15% off, we ain't bringing it back. We're not bringing it back. So you had sports go off of network television, go over to cable television, and then cable television began to become cannibalized by streaming. And then the third thing that I wanted to touch on right now, Ron, and all you listeners out there, was the fact that the attention span of people has gone down to nil. That's right, I made an NIL reference. The attention span of the average human being on Earth now seems to be withered down to these stupid social media clips. 30, 15, 20, some I even see for 5 seconds. I mean, what type of information are you going to get out of that? Okay? That's the talk of the day. Who's the latest idiotic dancer jumping around on one of these social media networks to some ridiculous song? It's not who made the awesome dunk last night. We haven't even seen Zion Williamson get into the NBA to start dunking yet. We thought we were going to see some excitement. He came into the league and just did the money grab. And let's not talk about that, but I'll touch on it. These athletes now, that's all they're doing. They're coming in for the money grab. They're not coming in to be great people. They're not coming in to be great. They're not coming in to win multiple championships. They're coming in to get a reality show, to get their Instagram followers up, and to get caught up in a whole bunch of scandals. So, Ron, I've spoken on it enough. Let's get some of your opinion on some of the things I've thought about this morning. And, again, we want you guys' comments. You guys can check us out over on the Bird at We Beat the Line, on Instagram at JB the Ticket, or go to my website, vegascoreboardexpress.com. Slide down to the Contact Us, and be sure to email me. Let me know your thoughts about this because it's very important. And there's a very obvious sea change in major professional sports from a broadcasting perspective. There's no reason to pay somebody $5 million to do what I do. Unless he's a top handicapper like me and Ron Best Bets. And that's just a little hint of what we're talking about. And I know that's the way the sports broadcasting and commentary is going. But, Ron, some of the things that I just laid out there, your thoughts. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just had a call from Bristol, Connecticut. I was checking that real quick. Couldn't help but throw that in there, brother, this morning. Couldn't help.
Thank you.
Well, like the Super Bowl, a prime example of the Super Bowl. The whole week leading up to it, I'm looking at the stats. I'm looking at the teams. I'm excited for the game. And all anybody around me is talking about is their numbers on their squares. And that's a common thing now because sports betting is where it's at.
Right.
It's not about the sports anymore. Like you said, the product is not that great. You look at Major League Baseball. Okay. The guy who was the best hitter in the game, I don't care if people want to argue or not, Pete Rose, a lot of people can complain about his hitting ability. The guy was a master. He's not even in the Hall of Fame. I'm not getting into the reasons. I'm just saying he's not in the Hall of Fame. You have the home run leader, Barry Bonds. He's surrounded by controversy of steroids. This is part of it. This turned people off. They don't want to hear this. They want to see the product. The product got bad.
Right.
The NFL is the only one right now that has kept their product good. But even they're hitting it. Like you said, there's no running backs anymore, and you can't hit.
You can't hit anyone. Go ahead.
When I hit a quarterback, I got the biggest hug from my coach and the biggest compliment and a few other kind words that he loved. And I loved it. Now you get a 15-yard penalty, and you're a bad guy. You're considered a bad person in the news. He hit the quarterback. He hurt him. And that's part of the game. I hate to make people hurt. That's part of football. People are going to get hit. They're going to get hurt. The players understand that. Believe me, they're not surprised when it happens. We're told that when we start.
Right.
And everything has gone away now. It's all about streaming. It's all about betting. And people better get with it because they're going to get left behind if they don't.
They're going to get left behind. And let's talk about something I said earlier and something you just touched on. All of these sports networks over the last 25, 30 years have been built on highlights. But when you don't have highlight reel-level plays, when you don't have highlight reel-level players, and many of these leagues, especially in the NBA, have homogenized their play, meaning that they over-regulated, over-rule changed their play to where you've taken the excitement and the creativity out of the game. Name me one player right now in the NBA who you can just say, outside of LeBron, is that dude. You can't. You can't because there's 50 dudes that they throw at you. We don't know where these guys came from. We don't know their stories. We know no background history. But besides that, the lack of in-depth sports journalism to get you interested in a guy and then a team or a lady and then a team to root for that individual and to root for that team. We're not going to get into the fact that that's all gone away, but the quality of the product. If you're a show built around highlights and you don't have any more spectacular dunks, you don't have any more spectacular dribble off the ball moves like Allen Iverson, they show that highlight. That's a highlight. That's a lifetime highlight. Allen Iverson crossing Michael Jordan and hitting the J. That's what people want to see. Okay? That's what people want to see if you're doing the jump shot thing. But when every single highlight is this guy shooting a three, this guy shooting a three, this guy getting a rebound, getting it, running back out behind the three, shooting a three, that's not a highlight. That's a rerun of the game. Same thing with the NFL. You guys know I love the NFL, but NFL, I got to get on you this morning. I got to get on you. When every single one of your highlights is a quarterback airing it out 400 or 500 yards down the field and some receiver catch it, and then the next week some receiver catch it, And then the next week, some receiver catch it. It gets boring. Who are these guys? Build their names up again. Build their names up again. Who's the top wide receiver in the NFL? Off the top of your head. Number one wide receiver. Sad, man. Can't even do it. This guy just got in the league. I can't give him top receiver status. He just got in the league. That's what I'm talking about. These sports entities, the sports broadcasters, the sports media as a whole, the major sports media, because you guys out there think that I'm major sports media. I'm major because I'm JP.
JP the Tech Guy.
But I'm an independent broadcaster. I pay my own radio license. I put my own money where my mouth is to make sure that I can bring you guys good sports radio each and every single weekend here on KSHP AM 1400, 107.1 FM, AM 1400. Here in Las Vegas and iHeartRadio, Spotify, all of your major podcast networks. I do this independently. And the reason why that I do this is because I know that the major networks aren't going to get in depth and have a conversation with their listeners like I'm doing with you now. They're not going to have a conversation with their co-host. They're going to try to get sound bites, jargon, something that they can put out there to get a bunch of clicks. Clicks, like I was telling you, that 10-second attention span, people. Hard for people to sit down and watch a full game now if it's not on your regular TV, if it's not even on your cable anymore. That's why I'm telling you guys got to get over to FuboTV.com/JB. I'm hooking you up. 15% off. You can watch these games for what they are, which is money makers. When we get back from this short commercial break, we're going to tell you what's going to happen in sports media, sports broadcasting, and sports commentating going forward. I'm going to give a little bit of grease on that because your boy JB the Ticket is going to be right there. I'm going to be right there in the thick of it. Hopefully the leader of it, because the reality is if I do what I do, and I'm going to give you a little taste of it, that's what you guys want to hear. You want to get engrossed in the game. You want to get engrossed back into sports, at least when you're watching it, and you want to have a reason to watch it, not just to throw away money like a lot of these other places will have you do. So you guys keep it locked and stay tuned here. JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. My man Ron, third down, best bets. Any shout-outs before I take this short commercial break and we jump back into this Bread Circus, the VSX Digital Conversation Series this summer, talking today about the change in sports media and the sports commentary landscape. Go ahead, Ron, then I'll jump into paying some bills here because, I got to do that.
One for our super fan, Kayla. I hope everything is good with you. And one for my sister, Tony Carey, who's been dealing with some health stuff and starting to finally feel a little bit better. Love you, sister, and hope you keep getting better.
And I want to give a shout-out to all the fans out there listening right now. KSHP AM 1400, 107.1 FM here in Las Vegas, waking up early with me. Shout-out to all my first responders, all the people waking up early in the morning to get the job done, like yours truly, JB the Ticket. So you guys keep it locked. Stay tuned. When I get back from this short commercial break, me and Ron are going to keep giving you the grease. Get the money.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JP the Tech Guy. Vegas Scoreboard Express, giving you that grease.
Basketball season is heating up, so stay in the game with Fubo TV. Get the NBA, NCAA, FIBA, and more. Get 7 days free at VegasScoreboardExpress.com. Don't get cabled. Get Fubo TV.
Whether you're a corporate executive, on a family vacation, or just passing through, St. George Inn & Suites will meet your specific needs. It's conveniently located near restaurants, shopping, and movie theaters. St. George Inn & Suites offers a variety of room types, 2 fabulous pools and jacuzzis, a fitness center, a free full hot buffet breakfast, and laundry facilities. To make your booking, call 435-673-6661 or book online at stgeorgeinnhotel.com. You need to stop in Southern Utah? Make that stop at St. George Inn & Suites.
You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network.
If you need help, hang up and then dial the operator.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball.
If you have money, you can buy anything.
JB the Tech Guy. Giving you that grease.
All grease, straight grease, nothing but the grease. JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. I'm back at you live here. KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM on your dial. You got to lock it in every single Saturday and Sunday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. I'm the one waking you up, putting that cash in your pocket. Got my main man, Ron, Third Down Best Bets, back on the line with me. Good morning, Ron. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Jumping back into this Bread and Circus. Again, the Bread and Circus series brought to you this summer by Fubo TV. Go to FuboTV.com/JB. I'm giving you 15% off. It's the only way you're going to be able to watch the games in about 24 months anyway. So pick it up now while it's cheap, because when the deal is gone, the deal is gone. But we're jumping back into it, Ron. The change in sports broadcasting, the major player in the game, ESPN, basically chopped their entire roster. They got Pat McAfee over there about to be working by himself. Can you imagine signing a deal and meeting all your coworkers just for about a month later they all get fired? You're like, wow, I'm here by myself. But jumping back into the reasons why this is happening, a lot of it, again, sports, as we knew it, is changed, okay? The players don't seem to have as much passion as they used to. The sports journalists seem to be more personalities than journalists, and then just the way that sports have been covered over the last 25, 30 years has really caused this death knell. But I want to touch on something else that I was just taking a look at, and I'm getting a lot of this information not just from the top of my head. I want to give a shout-out to an article that I'm reading from the horse's mouth. Jim Brady, the former public editor, which public editor positions no longer exist in media. It is what it is. Okay, but this is the former public editor of ESPN, and he wrote an article on March 15, 2018. So this is pre-pandemic. This is when everybody was still somewhat trying to tell the truth and not spin everything. And it was an article called Talking on the Oh So Simple Subject of ESPN's Future. And he was trying to be a little bit sarcastic, a little bit facetious with that title. But I read that article last night when I was doing research for the Bread and Circus show today, and I'm just very, very relieved to know that they knew this was going to happen. I mean, this was going to happen. They've been firing people for the last 5, 6, 7 years. And the reason being is a lot of it started, and this is the elephant in the room. We're going to talk about it a little bit. We don't talk about it on our show because we just don't like that business and the intersection of sports and the way it kind of permeated through sports like a fungus. But the politics in sports. We know that's what killed ESPN. We all know that's what killed half of these companies over the last 6, 7 months. I don't think we're going to see the Bud Bowl anymore, people. Bud Light, the Bud Puppies, I think they're gone. So when you talk about it from that perspective, Ron, you as a fan and you also as a sports commentator on a major radio network here in Las Vegas, part of the Sports Byline Network. Again, shout out my friends over at Sports Byline, VSX Digital Sports Network, an independent sports journalist, sports entertainment company, and also, most importantly, that sports betting information that you need to put the cash in your pocket, which is a very important part of sports commentary now. But, Ron, to touch on what I was just talking about, the proliferation of that ugly word, politics, in sports, I think that is a big factor in what's going on at ESPN right now. When you turn off viewers and you turn off engagement from the fans with non-related content, which is a firebrand topic, which they always tell you when you meet your girls or your boyfriend's dinner at Thanksgiving, never talk about these three things: money, politics, or religion. Go ahead, Ron.
No, you're right. It's politics. It's a powder keg because nobody ever agrees. That's the problem. You're never going to find two people with the same opinion on politics. Everybody has their opinion. Everybody's right as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to offend anybody. It's just nobody can agree. And that's the problem. And it doesn't need to be, then it leaks into sports, and then sports has that issue. And politics are a problem. It's just a problem.
Well, let's talk about it from the perspective of sports, because we know that back around in 2017, 2018, the NFL was caught up in a specific controversy with a specific player. I'm not going to go into it because they're not paying me to do that, but everyone's pretty much aware of that situation. And then ESPN was one of its top stars at that time, got into some hot water on the bird, making comments on a public forum. And there was a ton of backlash about it. And I think that because, and I'm reading this article, the ESPN didn't shut it down right then. They didn't shut it down. These guys were like, nope, we are going to keep doing this. Surprise. This is what the angle we're going to go. And they push this narrative for going on 2 years. Then the pandemic hits, and then they really dig their heels in with it. It turned off a lot of eyeballs. And the funny thing about ESPN is they didn't give out public data. Okay, they're a lot like the sports leagues themselves. There's no SEC or stock market watch or Wall Street Dow Jones reports to put out every single year. I think they're going to be doing that now this first November. ABC, their parent company, is going to part and parcel out ESPN for its own earnings report. But, I mean, the company's been around since the early 80s, so you're talking about a 40-year-old company who's just starting to talk about its public numbers, which also is an effect that ESPN was insulated from. When you're a private company and you can make private decisions and your decisions are not based on shareholder demand because, you know, Wall Street 101, you take a company public, you get stock, the stockholders are your company owners, the public stockholders or what have you. But most importantly, you got to tell them what's going on because it's a public company. So there can be no secrets. We know there's a ton of secrets in corporations. We know that. Not going to get into it, not what this show is about, but just giving you the thought process behind it. So ESPN probably took a look at their books and they said, look, these guys aren't moving the needle. The data isn't there for them because everything can be quantified now. How many views is this guy getting? How many followers is he getting? Which I think is just a bunch of crock of crap. Because you got to think, you know, 40, 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, when none of this follower stuff mattered, this influencer stuff mattered, some people would call me an influencer. I'm like, look, I'm not trying to influence anything but putting cash in your pocket and making sure you get paid. During sports seasons, which are coverable right now because the summer is awful. Not going to get into it. But back to what I was saying about the political nature of what happened at ESPN, some of the other networks, the leagues getting involved in this. Sports have always intersected with politics. I think more so 50 to 80 years ago than now. So when you talk about it from the perspective of the social activism, pissing people off on all sides of the spectrum, you don't do enough for this one, you did too much for this one, you know, just all that. The messaging, all of these things. If they're willing to talk about politics and put that in there, why do you think they haven't embraced sports betting? And I have the reason why, but go ahead, Ron. I want your thoughts for it. Sports betting is legal. The sports leagues have already gotten in bed with them. But why do you think over the past 3, 4, 5 years they've cannibalized their listenership, their viewership, and their reach with these non-related sports issues and failed to touch the elephant in the room outside of the political banter, which was the need for sports commentary from a betting perspective? Go ahead.
Well, they're definitely dealing with it now. I mean, I don't know why it took them so long to evolve to this because, like I said, we've talked about this for quite a while now. It's been the writing's been on the wall. Yeah, I mean, it's the way of sports. It's the way it's going to be now. And like we said, if you don't adjust, you're going to die. That's the way of the business now. The industry is going this way. And ESPN's, they're not dumb. You know, they kind of dragged their feet for years, but they're catching up quick. I mean, they just saved a whole lot of payroll now, and they're going to do some investing now. So we're going to see some major changes. And I think they're going to invest in some sport betting personalities. They really should.
I mean, it's what's necessary. It's what's necessary. I mean, let's just jump into it.
It's a part of society now. And I think ESPN is finally taking the first step of embracing it. That's what they're doing. And they need to do this. And it's going to keep happening. And until people embrace it completely, it's not the elephant in the room
I think
anymore.
That the fans and the sports consumers, that's a good point. I think that the fans and the sports consumers have already embraced it.
Yeah.
You got to think about sports for the last 100 years since the 1918 Black Sox scandal and Arnold Rothstein fixing the World Series, up until the Pete Rose scandal back in the 70s when he, essentially has been banned from baseball. Sports and betting were oil and water. But now it's straight grease, okay?
Giving you that grease.
It's all legal, baby. And if you're not willing to talk about it, then you're going to be behind the 8 ball. But the reality is, the point I was making was, if you've got over 100 years of an industry and a style of commentary, in-game, play-by-play, which mentions nothing about betting, it's the pariah of the conversation when the game is on, and then it becomes legal. You look at the numbers, fans are betting like wild, The cash flow is like crazy. And you say to yourself, we've got an entire roster of people who have no knowledge of this business, number one. Have no interest of taking knowledge of this business. You got guys who've been working at this ESPN, these Fox Sports, these CBS 20, 30 years. And CBS is trying to get into the business, but it's mostly streaming. But the reality is the leader in sports, ESPN, missed the boat, okay? And because they missed the boat with that early initial push for sports betting, they went out and got Pat McAfee. Now, again, shout out to Pat McAfee. He got his money. He's the only guy left in the building, unfortunately. I mean, he's the only guy there. He's got to turn the lights off. He's got to take the trash out. But they fired everybody. But like I said before, if you don't have someone who can break down the games, all you got to do is go back to listen to my old shows. You listen to my old shows and you tell me you wouldn't want to listen to JB the Ticket on your ESPN radio nationwide every day at 6 a.m. I'm trying to get there, people. That's why I'm doing this now, because I see it. And I'm making sure. I'm not new to this. I've been doing this for 10 years, here in Vegas for 5 years on the air, rocking and rolling. A lot of people know who I am. Thank you guys so much for listening, tuning in. 107.1 FM, KSHP, AM 1400. Thank you guys. Because I hear it from the general public. JB, we love your show. We love what you do. You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about contracts. You don't talk about nonsense. You don't talk about all of that social media stuff. You make jokes, but when it comes down to the seasons that can get you paid, you're always telling information that can help. And I think that the sports networks have to do that. Fox tries it on their college sports game day, bringing out the, I bet you a bunch of those guys got fired too that just wasn't released. But you talk about it from that. I know Todd McShay got fired, but you talk about it from that perspective. They have an entire roster of people who are coming on in the morning who don't have the knowledge, who don't have the passion, and then to be able to incorporate sports betting, play-by-play commentary, and or commentary after the fact and incorporate the sports betting in, nobody does it better than JB the Ticket and Vegas Scoreboard Express. And that's not me saying that. That's me hearing that from other people. So to see what's happening in these major networks, yes, we are preparing to jump all over that because this is what is going to be going forward. Sports, they said, is no longer water cooler talk. It's no longer must-see TV. Major championships and playoff series get a lot of the watch, but we all know these commentators are terrible. The NBA draft, that NBA draft, disgusting. I couldn't listen to it. No story behind the player. Talking about the NBA, just a quick second. Again, with no stories behind the player, you've got these sports leagues. They just pick some random dude, and they go, he's next. He's the guy. He's the guy. And we see him missing 15 jumpers in his little, shoot-around. So it's like, is he really the guy? So talking about it from that perspective, Ron, you know just as well as I know, and a lot of fans out there know the same thing. They want to bet. They want to make money. They can't figure out why ESPN doesn't have betting talent. ESPN tried to do a betting show. It fell flat on its face. The reason is, and now I think they're doing it, they have to clean house. They have to shift their broadcasting style from just random sports talk, gibberish about nothing, to giving information in relationship to the betting line, but also getting personalities that can deliver that. Just having some regular guy read a script, that ain't going to cut it, people. So don't go doing that. Don't go doing that. But there are guys out there, such as myself, guys like Bill Krakenberger, shout out to Crack, man. Guys like JT the Brick, who caught a real rough deal over at the Fox Sports here locally in Vegas. They got the talent. We're already here. We got the voice. We got the know-how. Heck, half of us look half decent, too. You can stick us on the TV screen. That's what people are going to want to hear, and that's what they're going to want to see. And until they start coming to knock on our doors and shooting us a few DMs, it's just going to continue to be more and more turnover. You cannot sit back and expect people to watch these sports games with commentators who are not passionate, commentators who don't have any pizzazz. Where's Marv Albert at when you need him? You know what I mean? Pat Summerall, John Madden, these guys are legends. Howard Cosell. I've actually had some people call me that, and I'm not bragging. That's what they've said. some people in the business are like, man, you got a pretty good voice on you. You should keep doing what you're doing. And that's why I got into this side of sports commentary, because I was saying, well, if I want to do sports, I don't want to talk about the regular stuff. I started doing this show back in 2016, guys. 2016. I was a guest on the Las Vegas Sports Betting Show with John Kelly. I worked with my guy Brian Shapiro, who's now got an awesome show, Pushing the Limits. We call him the Pusher here in the studio. He's able to get people to say some pretty wild stuff. But again, got my main man Ron, Third Down Best Bets, VSX Digital Sports contributor. Ron, your stock is going up. If people go back and listen to our shows over the NFL season, the NBA season, and you listen to not only the information, the quality of the information, the breadth and depth of the information, but just the fact that we're picking straight winners like kids pick boogers. Come on, man. That's what people want. They don't want to sit here and listen to Zion Williamson having girl troubles and issues on the internet and squabbling. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear about Ja Morant and his fantasy gangbanging. Nevertheless, JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. My main man Ron, Third Down Best Bets. We're going to come back after this short commercial break. Ron, any shout-outs? And then we're going to get into some final picks today. Got some games on the WNBA line. Las Vegas Aces are on the line. We'll touch on that a little bit. And then we'll wrap up this Bread Circus show today. So again, fans, I want you guys to comment. Reach out to me, VegasScoreboardExpress.com. Follow us on the Bird at We Beat the Line. Follow us on the gram at JB the Ticket. I want your opinions on what you want to hear as far as sports betting commentary goes going forward on these major networks, because you know I'm going to keep giving you the grease. Ron, the shout-outs, and then we'll jump on this ride out. Go ahead.
Yeah, you already mentioned him, but I want to mention him again. Hard Rock Hamilton. You need some help getting that GoFundMe account going. Get that documentary going. The screenwriter strike's going to be in at some point, and when they're done, we're going to get this thing rolling, and people need to hear this story. The defender of the youth. That's
what I'm talking about. Someone who played professional football. Again, Philadelphia Eagles, Edmonton Elks, used to be the Eskimos. But again, JB the Ticket and Vegas Scoreboard Express. I'm coming back from this short commercial break. We're going to wrap it up, give you a few WNBA, that is, picks, so you can try to put some cash in your pocket this afternoon. Thank you so much for listening, and get the money.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express, giving you that grease.
STN Sports is the only sports betting app you need this season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to StationCasinoSports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
Keep it locked with your boy on the ones and twos. Going in on the wheels of steel.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball.
JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express, back at you live. My main man Ron, Third Down Best Bets. You're still there with us, brother. Go ahead.
I'm here, baby.
That's what I'm talking about. Waking you up early in the morning, Saturday and Sunday, each and every single weekend here in Las Vegas at KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM. Talking a little bit of WNBA, the matchups today. On the line, you guys are known. We're known for that sports betting grease, so we want to touch on it a little bit. Rotation number 637, the Connecticut Sun, plus 11. Coming out here to Las Vegas today, going up against the Las Vegas Aces. Rotation number 638, minus 11, minus 750. Woo, very expensive in the WNBA this season. I have seen it quite a bit here with the Vegas Aces because they're kicking people's butt. I'm telling you right now, the last year's WNBA champion are on fire. The Connecticut Sun, plus 11, plus 550 on the money line. Total of 170. Ron, what say ye? Because I know that you take a look at a lot of this WNBA for me while I'm putting together this summer package and getting ready for the fall sports. Go ahead.
I say go with the Aces, man. They are good. That's a good basketball team. They don't mess around. They tore the Liberty to nothing the other night. They just kicked their butts all over the court.
I mean, you look at the big three. I mean, you got Aja Wilson. You got Kelsey Plum. Those two right there, whoever you stick in that third slot, I can't think of the one chick's name, but she's got some great defense, steals the ball a lot. Those are the two girls who are the winners on our team. They should be premier stars as greater in the sports world. Known here in Vegas, they should be known wider around because they're good ballers, man. It's a really good game. I like this game from a totals perspective. I think that if the Aces are going to win by 11, the Connecticut Sun aren't going to be able to score that much. So I'm liking this game as an under 170. I mean, if somehow, some way, Vegas cracks 100 and Connecticut can get 65, 68, it's still under that 170 number, which is holding steady on the under. Plus 105 is where the cash is at. And then we got the game coming up in the afternoon. The Minnesota Lynx, rotation number 639, plus 2, going up against the Phoenix Mercury and Brittany Griner, rotation number 640. Phoenix are minus 2. They got Griner back. Minus 125 on the money line. Total is 162.5. What say ye, Ron, with this matchup today? Go ahead.
I like Phoenix in this one. I say under on this one, too. Phoenix and under.
Phoenix in the under. My main man, Ron, third down, best bets. Want to shout out my main man, Lee Berg, giving me a lot of this WNBA stuff throughout the week. I'm going to have to get him on the show eventually one of these days to talk about it. But when we get back from this short commercial break, going to wrap it up. Bread and Circus. Want to give you those WNBA picks. You guys stay tuned. JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express, KSHP AM 1400, KSHP.com, VegasScoreboardExpress.com. And for all you advertisers out there who want to get on the premier #1 sports betting show here in Las Vegas, go to VSXDigitalSportsNetwork.com. So when I get back from the short commercial break, we're going to finish up this show and get you guys out to the sports book to enjoy your wonderful Saturday. That's right, July the 1st. If you're alive today, it's a good day. Bet $1 on yourself. Have faith in yourself to have a great day and do what you got to do. But before you do that, keep it locked here with JB the Ticket. Get that last cup of coffee. When we come back, I'm going to wrap it up with my main man, Ron, third down, best bets, and get you prepared for tomorrow's Sunday baseball picks with Scotty. Beam him up Webb from the East Coast Sports Investors and MLBDaily.com. So, again, you guys keep it locked and stay tuned. We're going to get some money.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JB the Ticket. Vegas Scoreboard Express. Giving you that grease.
Farmer's Burger from Farmer Boys. Beef, bacon, cheese, hand-smashed avocado, and fresh veggies. Best burger champ. That's how we drop the mic. Farmer Boys. Farm food ain't fast food. Farmer Boys' new always crispy fries stay crispier and tastier all the way home. If they make it home.
Sharing is caring.
Farmer Boys. Farm food ain't fast food.
This football season, stay in the game with Fubo TV. Over 100 live channels, including NFL Network, NBA TV, and FS1. Don't miss any of the action. Get 7 days free on us at VegasScoreboardExpress.com. Don't get cabled. Get Fubo TV.
JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. Back at you live here, KSHP AM 1400, 107.1 FM on your dial every Saturday and Sunday morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. tomorrow. Back to the grease, giving you picks, Major League Baseball. But my main man, Scotty, beam him up Webb from the East Coast Sports Investors. Right now on the line, I got my main man, Ron, third down, best bets, my co-host and sports contributor over at VSX West in L.A. Good morning. Back to you, Ron. Getting ready to finish out the show with you. Yeah, so we talked about a lot today, man. You know, I've been really wanting to let the fans know that this is what is going to happen. VSX is going to get bigger. We're not going to forget the regular people that listen. Of course, I'm just who I am now. Thank you. But if you want to hear more of this on a larger platform and you think more people can benefit from what we do here at Vegas Scoreboard Express, please follow the show on the Bird at We Beat the Line. Follow me on Instagram at JB the Ticket. I know, yes, I don't post a lot on Instagram. But we'll start posting more show clips, trying to hire a new social media manager. So if any of these folks out there want to get a job, we can hook you up with that. Work remotely, by the way. But, yes, the sports media landscape is changing. And the reason that it is changing is because sports have changed. The quality of the play, it isn't highlight reel play anymore. It's all stat play, okay? So when you have a game or games or leagues that are based upon stats, based upon individual players, and not so much based upon the team play, this is what is going to happen. You don't need 4, 5, 10, 20 people making, $5-10 million a year to just give their opinions on sports. Sports now are going to start going more along the way of the stock market. You will have personality. Shout out my main man, Jim Cramer. A lot of people give him crap because he's selling you dog stocks all the time, dogs with fleas. But he was a personality for many years with Mad Money. Like, a lot of you folks are like, JB, you sound like the guy from Mad Money with all your sound effects and stuff. Well, that's where I kind of bit his style a little bit. Shout out to my main man, Jim Cramer, again. Because you guys don't know, I spent 20 years on Wall Street. Met the guy, really cool guy. He's exactly the way he is in real life, but very astute. Very astute. You got to be 100% on your game with Mr. Cramer there. But like I'm talking to you guys today, sports betting is going to be the focus of sports media for the remainder that sports exists. Because sports betting is the way of the future. And what we're going to be able to produce here for you at VSX, maybe one of these bigger networks want to finally stop making the rich richer and come see somebody that knows how to help you build from the ground up. Come over to our station. We can show you guys what to do. But most importantly, we want to make sure that the fans are brought back into the scope of sports. With all the social media, with all of the comments and the likes, you would think that these networks would interact with their fans. Many of them don't. I receive digital DMs from both of the major sports leagues during their drafts and their playoff series, and all you could do was like or comment. Sometimes you couldn't even comment, but they didn't respond. It's the response. And I think in this age of that wall being broken down between athlete and celebrity and fan, the network's got to break that wall down too. They got to start interacting more with their watchers, with their listeners, and not superficially either. Get back into the days of giveaways. Get back into the days of letting people express themselves. We're going to be doing that more here on the show this fall, giving people the time to call in, giving the regular people time, because if you don't give the regular people time, they're not going to give you theirs. JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. Thank you guys so much for listening today. Ron, any final thoughts or shout-outs? We got about 45 seconds left, and then we're going to get out of here for the day and go get some money. Go ahead.
I just want to say what a great show was today, bro. I really think you touched on some great points, and I hope people are listening because we're ready to move on to bigger things, brother. We're killing it now. We'll keep killing it like we're doing it now, but bigger things wouldn't be a bad thing.
I'm telling you, all money, all sports, no bull.
20 people fired, we could do it a lot better and a lot cheaper.
And a lot cheaper. Still got to pay me, though. JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. Thank you so much, Ron. Thank you guys out there for listening. You guys tune in tomorrow for my main man, Scotty Beam him up Webb from the East Coast Sports Investors. Back to the picks, back to the grease. You know what time it is. Time to get to the book and get the money.
You're listening to the boss of the big four, JB the Ticket.
The world-famous radio shopping show weekdays on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas and KSHP.com.